Good morning, evening, or afternoon. I am Emelina Minera with VidpalTravel.com, and we are a global real-time video marketplace for the average traveler. Today we are here with Till Boadella, currently in Portugal and originally from Switzerland. And he founded Direct Beats, and he's also the CEO and founder of Market Uncovering.
Uncovermarketing.com.
Uncover Marketing, a little dyslexic sometimes. And also the CEO and editor-in-chief of, it just slipped my mind, but starts with Tiger.
Freedom.
Tiger Freedom.
Yeah.
And so
I have crazy names for my businesses sometimes.
I like those names, actually. I like them a lot. So welcome, Till, to coming here, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I researched you quite a bit, and the first thing I noticed is that, like, what you share on your mastermind group and your Facebook profile and your Facebook page, like, you consistently share really great value. And what you share, like, are things that, like, are concrete things that you could take action on. And so at first I thought that was really interesting, like all these things that I could apply to myself and my own projects that I'm working on. But then when I delved further, I watched your interview with Rodrigo that you did this past March, and I watched your recent video on success, and also your video of how you sold Direct Beats. So congratulations on selling your first business. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I watched all those videos, and the thing that, like, most resonated with me, that I was, like, really excited about, was kind of like your mentality and your mindset and your process, and just kind of your view on life in general. And and so I'm gonna be asking you just tons of questions, but some of them will be geared towards that and how it impacts, like, your business and entrepreneurship and all that kind of stuff. And so start off kind of like on a travel also slash business oriented question. So I read your Facebook profile, and you were sharing about your Inner Circle Summit in Morocco, I think in November, and
I think it's in September, but I confuse it all the time myself.
It is September, I think. It's and then in California it's October to November 1st.
Exactly.
And you're saying how like you really love traveling, and you really love all your different business endeavors, but how you're most looking forward to your Inner Circle Summit. So what is it about the summit that you're most looking forward to?
Well, the thing is, if you're like in online entrepreneurship, we face a lot of isolation. I believe a lot of people, that get good at doing this, building businesses online, realize it's a quite lonely thing, actually. It's you and your laptop, many hours, just you and your laptop, sitting there in your room or wherever you are. And it's a lot of work that you're doing, and you have to be careful that you don't get distracted too much. And also for a lot of people, I guess it's hard to actually build those networks of friends and entrepreneurs that are on the same wavelength as they are. For me, it was like that. I'm originally from Zürich, Switzerland. And in my opinion, it's a very uptight country, not very entrepreneurial. A lot of people just want to focus on careers and, following instructions. So I have pretty much no friend in Switzerland who's an entrepreneur. Like, I have some friends kind of tipping their toes into, like, entrepreneurship and interested, but no one's really actually doing it. So I had to do this myself pretty much, and I had to find friends online in a way, and it got really important for me to network with people. So a lot of my friends right now are actually people online that are into entrepreneurship, into business. So the reason I'm looking forward to this event is because, they say it's lonely at the top. It's a bit of a cliche, but it's also true. Like, if you're the only one traveling all the time, I mean, yeah, you're gonna meet travelers on your travels and all of that, but it's not gonna be your friends. If your friends are working in a normal job, they won't be with you when you're traveling, right? So it's kind of a special situation where it's like a mix of loneliness and having online friends that are into the same thing and networking with people online. And you get this like sense of community where you're part of a community of people that are doing this. So when you meet these people in real life, it becomes really important, and it becomes really like one of these highlight moments where you can like get rid of this isolation behind your laptop, you know, and actually meet people in real life, because it becomes more and more valuable, right? The internet is awesome. Computers are awesome. They make it so much easier, but at the same time, it creates also some isolation. So then physical events where you meet up with people in real life become more valuable again. So I guess that's why I'm looking so much forward to this event, because I just meet all these people that I know online, all these different faces, all these different stories, and people I've helped and people that have helped me. I can now meet them in person. I can have a beer with them. I can shake their hand. You know, I can look at sunsets with them. I can go surfing at the beach with them. That's amazing for me, you know, so I guess that's why I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Those first few times that you met with people in real life, what was it like? Because before you said in Switzerland, or what was it like to meet entrepreneurial people in person for the first time when that wasn't an aspect that you had in Switzerland?
Well, I was very, you mean in person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was super excited about it, but I also was a bit, I had some illusions about entrepreneurs in general. Like I saw so many people online that are talking about business, that kind of pretend like they have a business, but then you meet them in real life and you realize they're not taking action. It's more like a lot of people like to talk, you know, and I don't want to point any fingers or anything. It's just my experience that a lot of people that I meet that are actually, you know, kind of self-proclaimed entrepreneurs and online marketers, they like to talk about this stuff. They like to think about it. They have all sorts of theories. But then, you know, when it's about to take action and implement the stuff, a lot of people are, you know, not really doing the stuff they should be doing. So I was kind of hoping to find more people that are like I'm a bit crazy when it comes to taking action. Like I'm a bit of a workaholic. I love this stuff. I work all the time. I love my business. I love working with clients. And for me, it's actually relaxing to do that, you know? So I don't understand why an online entrepreneur that I meet wouldn't be the same like that, would try and avoid what they're doing, the work they're doing. So that was a bit of a, you know, a grounding process for me to realize, you know, there's a lot of people, most of the people that you'll meet aren't really into this the way they actually, you know, present it to the outside world. And then there's like this 1% of people that are really, really on the same level or even higher. And that's like the people I'm really, really excited about to meet, you know, because those are people that are even pushing me, that I can learn from. You know, crazy people, outcasts, rebel marketers. That's like my favorite type of person. Yeah, but I realized there's not that many people out there actually doing this. Yeah.
That's what I realized when I was like just looking into what you do and what you share, because I've been following different, I guess one term is digital nomad, of there's different people maybe since like 2010, and it's interesting to see the different kind of content that people share, the things that they create. And like I said earlier, the one thing I noticed about you is that like everything you share is just like so packed with value and things that you could actually take action on and learn from, like right in that moment. And that's one of the big differences, because people share other things that might like get you excited and build your energy, but it's not necessarily something that you could use. And although that's an important aspect, it's, you also need what you're doing, but you also added the excitement. But you're saying how that there's other people that get you excited. And I remember watching your interview with Rodrigo about how like the 5 people that you surround yourself, you're talking about like all the different personal development authors, authorities, how they all say how it's the people that you surround yourself with that will impact you. And like 10 years from now, when like that, you will evolve. And if you're with people that are challenging you, that you'll adopt kind of unconsciously, unless you're aware of it, you're going to adopt kind of their behaviors and their patterns and their beliefs. And if they're kind of not achieving so much, then you're going to adopt those kind of things. So who are the people in your life that you're attracted to and that are challenging you right now?
Well, there's like two categories. So the cool thing about the internet is that you can have mentors that you never met and that never met you, right? I love Tony Robbins. I never met this guy. I don't know if I'm ever going to meet him. And yet this guy had an impact on my life. I have many mentors, many people I consider my mentors that I never met in person, that if they would hear my name, they wouldn't know me. And yet they touched my life. They inspired me. So it's important to surround yourself with these types of people. So for me, that was very early on. Tony Robbins, was Eben Pagan. He was one of my first internet marketing mentors in that sense, that I never met. There's people like Frank Kern, Ryan Dice, all these authorities. Some of them, I took their programs. I was on live calls with them, So you can surround yourself with awesome people that you don't even know by joining mentoring programs. That's one reason why I created the Inner Circle mentoring program, because I wanted to create an environment for entrepreneurs where they can really, get challenged, have awesome resources, have a community of people pushing them, helping them, supporting them. Because I believe you can actually provide that even if you don't have actual friends, wherever you live. So that's one reason why I created that. So that's like the first category of people that inspire me. So I'm always looking for people that are pushing the envelope, that are really pushing, that are hungry, that are innovative. That's really what I'm looking for in people. A lot of people, unfortunately, right now are like losing their hunger a little bit. A lot of the old gurus in the industry, they're not innovating anymore. They're kind of resting, which is fine, but I'm always looking for the new people. I'm looking for the next generation marketers. And sometimes, one of my friends, he's 17 years old. He's a copywriter from Singapore, 17 years old. He makes lots of money online. And, for me, this is one of those next generation marketers. And these people will replace the old people one day, because those are like the hungry people right now. It's like an underground community of I like to call them rebel marketers, right? It's like an underground community of rebel marketers that are really in the trenches, fighting, trying new stuff, finding out what works right now. Not what worked 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but what works right now in marketing. And they're like fighting at the front, in the trenches, so to speak. And they're hungry. They want to get results. They want to know what's working, and they're pushing and pushing and pushing. And those are the people that are really inspiring me right now. Like I said, Chris is an online friend of mine, 17 years old. He's going to quit college. He's making more than $4,000 a month online already at his age. He's worked for some of the biggest brands. And that inspires me, someone who takes action, someone who doesn't speak with words, but with actions. That's what inspires me. That's the type of teams I want to build. So those are the two types of people, like the big gurus that you can use as mentors, but then also like the next generation people that are in the trenches doing this right now, because they're going to be the gurus, the authorities, the celebrities of tomorrow. So there's these two categories, and I like to surround myself as much as possible with both. But obviously it's hard to find this second category, this really hungry type of person pushing, innovating. It's hard to find that. So one of my goals is to provide a community for that and create resources for that, at the very front of what's going on in the marketing world right now. Yeah.
On your success video, and also your interview with Rodrigo Flamenco, one thing you're talking about is like, what's the word? Error is not the word. But since I'm blanking on the word, kind of like
failures, or
like the failures that beginning entrepreneurs make is, I think you mentioned two main ones, and one is that they're not hungry enough for it, they're not committed enough for it. And so what do you think is it that breeds that kind of internal motivation, drive for people to find that kind of hunger to succeed and to commit themselves to that?
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think and a lot of people, they think that alone will somehow get them results. That's just the beginning. Like I would love to tell people, if you're hungry, if you're motivated, the rest will just come. Being motivated, having desire is not enough. You have to act upon it. You have to take action. Everyone has desires. Everyone I talk to has a dream, right? Everyone likes to dream and talk about stuff and have a vision of the future. Everyone has motivations and desires and all of that. But that alone is not enough. Even if it's strong, you need to take action. You need to build the right habits to actually take that desire. That desire is just fuel. It's just fuel. If you don't know how to use it, nothing's going to happen in your life. I don't believe in the law of attraction. I believe in the law of hard work, right? Law of attraction, if you think about something, you won't attract anything. If you think about it and you work your ass off in the direction that you want, then you will attract it. A lot of people don't get the second part. A lot of people don't get the work your ass off part of the law of attraction, right? They read something like The Secret or some book like this, or they read tons of personal development books. Nothing happens, right? So that desire, that hunger, it's the base level that you need. It's like, yeah, you need that. But then the next step that will set you apart is like taking massive action, like extreme action, hardcore action, at least for a while. You don't have to do it for a lifetime, but for a while. So you can build up that initial momentum, so you can actually build that willpower and that character strength, that personality that you need as an entrepreneur, because you have all the responsibility on yourself now. Like the times are over where, someone else is going to tell you, do this, follow these instructions, and you'll get paid. As an entrepreneur, no one's going to pay you. No one's going to tell you, do this, do that. There's no instruction manual left. You have to do everything yourself, right? You create your own paycheck, so to speak. So you have all the responsibility, and you have to develop the character strength to handle that. It's not as easy as most people think. And for that, you need to take massive action, fail massively, learn to deal with pain, with frustration, fear, shame, patience, persistence, all of that. Do it for long enough. And at some point, you build up so much momentum that you're unstoppable. Like at some point, you're like this train that's been stuck for so long, but it's been building up like the fuel and the engine. And at some point, like this the obstacle gets removed, and you're just like full power straight ahead, right? That's the effect you get if you failed for very long, and you build up those internal resources. You build up resilience and internal resources and all of that. And once you start to succeed a little bit, like nothing can stop you, because you built up all that resilience and all that willpower and all those habits during the hard times, which is an important phase for any entrepreneur, I believe, that now where you become more successful, you actually can handle it, and you know what to do, and you can sustain it. So yeah, I think that's huge, just the willingness to go to your own limits. And it's a sacrifice. Let's be honest, entrepreneurship, it's not like the rosy romantic vision a lot of people have, where you create a product and money rains in and you're a celebrity overnight. It's not like that. It's a sacrifice. You will sacrifice certain personal connections, certain friendships, certain romantic relationships, certain other hobbies that you have. You will sacrifice because you have a tunnel vision, and you belong to the 1% of people willing to do that, willing to do the stuff no one else is willing to do. While everyone else is partying or watching series or getting drunk or whatever, watching twerking videos on YouTube, you're the one being like, no, yeah, I have this vision. I'm going to do this. I don't care. It's a sacrifice. I'm going to burn myself out a little bit for a greater good, for something greater. A lot of people aren't willing to do that, and they think that marketing is a substitute for it, right? They think, oh, if I just learn the right marketing tip, or if I get the right get-rich-quick system or something like that, I can be an entrepreneur. But entrepreneurship is something you have to learn like on your own. No one can teach you that. But if you are an entrepreneur, if you have those mindsets of an entrepreneur and you use marketing and direct marketing additionally to that, it's like you're unstoppable. So, but you still need that solid foundation of, willpower, persistence, just all those traits of an entrepreneur. And it's really hard because a lot of people, I teach them marketing, and yet they still lack this entrepreneurial side. And it's hard to teach them that, because you can't teach that. You have to fail yourself and learn the lessons yourself. You can't read them in a book. No one else can learn the lessons you have to learn. And you can't teach that in an online course. That's a problem. So you can teach tools, you can give people shovels and show them how to dig for gold, but people still need to show up in full heat, when the sun's out, and actually start digging. And to do that, you need some character. Yeah.
So right now, you addressed a lot of things and like a lot of themes that I listened to in your other videos and interviews, and that like really that resonate with me. That are things that I would like you to touch upon more. And one thing was kind of like the themes of experiencing failure and pain and shame, and kind of how to deal with those emotions, and kind of is learn from them and then move past them or use them to continue on the entrepreneurship journey. So like, how were you able to deal with those emotions and to learn from those emotions to help propel your journey?
I guess I developed a mindset where I view everything that happens in life as a quiz. So any negative emotion that I have, any roadblock, any setback, anything bad that happens, I don't enter a victim mindset, but I view it as a quiz. So, if I have fear to do something, I'm not like, oh no, why do I have all this fear? I'm so weak or something. I'm not like that. I'm like, oh, let's see who wins this battle, sucker. Like I start talking to my emotions, to my fear, to shame. I embrace them, I acknowledge them, and then I create a challenge with myself. And I view life as a challenge. And anything that happens, even, you can read Viktor Frankl. He talked about this, he was the guy who went to the concentration camp, and he believed so strongly in his writing his book and telling the world about what he experienced, that he survived that, and it's all about that belief. And he said something very profound, and he said that it's not up to you to ask questions. Life asks the questions, and you have to find the answers. And that's huge. So if you fail as an entrepreneur, it's not up to you to ask why you're failing or why it's so hard or why other people are more successful, because then you build envy, then you're stuck. That's life asking you questions. It's life giving you problems that are unique to your journey that you need to solve. And it's your job as an entrepreneur and as a spiritually evolving human being to solve those problems, to find solutions, to build resources. And that's kind of how I dealt with it. I just viewed it as a huge quiz. I view business and life as one big quiz, and I'm the detective solving it. That's how I look at marketing. That's, if you look at Uncover Marketing, the whole idea, it's for me to uncover, what's hidden, to find out what's working, to push through those barriers that I have. So I'm a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, for example. I love this series. So, I view life a bit like that. When there's a problem, when something is going on, or you have a roadblock in your business, don't cry about it. Don't go into a victim mindset, but be the detective solving that problem. And if you come from that mindset, your problems won't be problems anymore, but fun challenges in a way. And even stuff like shame and fear, even intense stuff, you can learn to deal with that in a playful way. Yes, it's going to be hard, and sometimes challenges are really hard, right? Sometimes, it's like getting beaten down by life, right? Sometimes it's like someone punches you really hard in the face and you're lying on the ground and you need to get back up. But still, if you can take that game frame, that life is a quiz, life is playful, to that, you will always have like internal resources. And it's just, I think it's a beautiful frame, and it works well for me. And if entrepreneurship weren't as challenging as it is, I would stop immediately. The only reason I'm an entrepreneur is because I'm unemployable. I can't follow instructions. I hate authorities. I hate, just following rule books and textbooks. I'm just crazy. I like to test stuff and I like to do my own things. And for that, I need to be able to have this playful frame and to push through bad stuff that's happening. Yeah.
I read that you internet marketing and entrepreneurship, or marketing in general, so internet marketing, but marketing and entrepreneurship as an art form, and how music was like your original art form and how you expressed yourself and process things, and now how marketing and entrepreneurship is that for you. So how does entrepreneurship and marketing allow you to, I guess, express yourself and allow you to process things?
It's a great question. Yeah, I've always been artistic. I've always been into music. For me, entrepreneurship is the ultimate art, because in music, you're building something, you're creating a piece of art or a song. But as an entrepreneur, you are actually molding reality. As a marketer, you're molding reality, and you're creating real stuff that people can use. Like, it's like, for me, it's the ultimate creation process, entrepreneurship, because you get to create whatever you want to create. Like, whatever you can imagine, you can create. And entrepreneurship is a tool to create it. So it's not limited to a format. If you're a musician, you're limited to music as a format. If you're a painter, you're limited to painting as a format. If you do videos, you're limited to videos. If you're an entrepreneur, you can use music, imagery, and videos and anything else all combined as a masterpiece and create awesome stuff. Developing an app, creating a website, even creating a follow-up process for your customers. Everything can be viewed as an art piece, a piece of art, and your life ultimately is the ultimate piece of art that you're building as an entrepreneur. You can create the life you want. And as an entrepreneur, you can put all those mosaics in place to actually fit your ideal perfect lifestyle, right? And that's, for me, it's the ultimate art. It's like being I don't know how to call it, a lifestyle artist, or just an entrepreneur, right? It's so artistic, it's so creative. You create something out of thin air. And it's just so empowering, so creative. You can touch other people's lives in even greater ways than certain musicians or painters did. So it's become definitely my new art. And it's also interesting to see that a lot of marketers, really good marketers, have a background in music. Frank Kern has a background in music, Jeff Walker has a background in music, and there's a ton of other people that were musicians or had something to do with music and then became really, really good at marketing. So maybe there's some kind of relation there. I don't know. But for me, for sure, definitely. But it's hard to understand for a lot of people, this type of artistic frame for entrepreneurship, because our idea of art is very limited to those formats that we have established in our society, right? But now with the internet, everyone can be an entrepreneur. Everyone can connect to other people, build meaningful relationships, and sell something to those people. Anyone can lead a tribe, like Seth Godin would say. With the internet, anyone who has the money to invest in a computer and has internet access can now touch other people's lives if they want. So, if you will, laptops and the internet are like modern paintbrushes, that we can all use to paint the picture that we want in our lives, create the connections that we want to create. sell the products we want to sell. And I think it's just a beautiful thing and a very overseen aspect of entrepreneurship and business as well. So I'll try and bring this a little bit more into the industry, this whole artistic side. Yeah.
I like that a lot because I like to view different things, or I don't like to. I do view different things as art forms, but you don't necessarily hear marketing or math or these more, I guess, like painting, music things described as art. And you were saying how with marketing, like music, you could touch people even in a deeper way. And then an earlier interview you did, you're talking about how what you really enjoy, or no, you talked about how at first you got into marketing just kind of to learn it and to use it to help your own business, but now you're teaching marketing and how you get to impact these people and creating these businesses that mean something to them, and then that they make their own unique impact on the world. And so how is that now to be teaching this and to kind of have that connection where people are kind of sharing what it is that they have with the world and that you're a part of that process?
Well, it's really interesting for me because I never intended to teach marketing. Like if you would have asked me years ago, like what I want to do with my life, it would, like, being a marketer or teaching marketing would have never been an answer that I'd given back then. So I have no idea how I ended up here. Well, I have an idea, I know how, but it wasn't predictable for me, right? I learned marketing because of necessity. I was a struggling music producer. Being a music producer was my big dream, years ago. And I struggled really bad at that. It was very hard to get my music noticed and all of that. So I found marketing as a tool, as a helpful resource to actually get my music out there. So what happened is I actually built a business as a music producer, a music licensing company, which I later on sold to my biggest competitor in the niche 3 years later, right? And the way I could do that is by implementing direct marketing and digital marketing in the whole process of being a music producer. And that's how I learned marketing, because I struggled as a musician and as an artist. No one was listening to my music. I wasn't selling anything. I was just very frustrated. I was just sitting there. I had lots of music. I believed it was awesome music. Other people later on luckily believed it as well. But right then I didn't know what was going on because I had all these songs, all these beats. I would upload them and no one would care. No one would notice. I would hit the publish button, nothing would happen, right? I thought good music will spread itself. I thought good music will go viral. Good art goes viral. Not the case, at least not for me. So for me, the gap, filling that gap was how I learned marketing. And I became really good at it, right? So a few years later, I had over 10,000 artists on my mailing list. I had 4.5 million song plays online. And I did all that with direct marketing. And now I took these concepts and these strategies that I learned in this niche industry, and now I'm teaching them to other people in different niches and different industries. And that became my main business right now. Yeah, so that turned into my art, so to speak. But I learned it not because I wanted to, but because I had to make my dream come true. And as a side product, I'm now teaching it, and it turned into my new passion. Yeah.
So earlier I heard you talk about, not in this interview, but another one, about introversion and entrepreneurship, and how entrepreneurship was this journey that helped get you out of your shell. And you also talked about a quote that Tony Robbins said about how, I forget exactly what it was, but something along the line of, your goal isn't to make $1 million, but it's to become worth $1 million. So
I'm a person that can make $1 million. I think it's something like that.
How does that quote resonate with you, and how has this process kind of led you out of your shell?
What can I say? Well, I am a naturally introverted and shy person, and I'm very proud of it, because most great people in history are very, very introverted and very shy people. Most world-renowned actors, look at Johnny Depp, he's a very shy person in his personal life. Brad Pitt, very shy person. The guy that invented the light bulb, Thomas Edison, very shy person. A lot of American presidents, very shy people, you know. So our society was built on introverts and shy people and not on extroversion. And a lot of people oversee that. They think that shyness is a negative trait or introversion is a negative trait. And there's a lot of shaming going on against those people. Because again, you know that I teach marketing is counterintuitive, right? I believe life in general is very counterintuitive. Everything is counterintuitive. So even things like introversion and extroversion, shyness, being very outgoing, it's very counterintuitive. People who are more introverted and they're often more creative, they're more entrepreneurial, you know, they have more visions, and oftentimes they're just more, you know, better at connecting with people, communicating. They have oftentimes a sense of mystery around them. Oftentimes even more charismatic. You know, if someone is talking all the time and reveals everything about the person in the first 1 minute of conversation, there's no charisma left, you know. So it's a very overseen thing. So I don't think entrepreneurship or business should be something to overcome introversion or shyness. I think shyness is a positive trait, or introversion is a positive trait, or natural shame is a positive trait that we can use in business or in entrepreneurship to create human connections. Business is all about connections. So if you're a business, or if someone's watching this that has a very corporate structure, and it's like the business is like a corporate front, you know, and there's nothing human about it, that won't work that well in the next couple of years. So we need to humanize our marketing. And humanizing means focusing on connections that matter. And whenever we have human connections, shame is a part of that. Shame is the most basic human emotion we have. It's the human emotion, right? Natural shame is what allows us to communicate, right? If someone looks at you, looks in your eyes like a psycho, staring at you for an hour, you know they have a problem with their shame. So it's normal to look in someone's eyes and then look away a bit, look back. We have a rhythm. It's like an in and out. It's an opening. It's a revelation and a holding back of secrets. And we have a rhythm in that. And with some people, we open up more or less. And that's regulated by natural shame. And that's what regulates our connections with other human beings. And that's a very interesting aspect. So I believe people who are in touch with their shyness or their shy side, with their natural shame, they're a lot better at touching other people, communicating to people in a charismatic way, and in a way that other people can care about it. And that's what business is built upon. That's what society is built upon. So, you know, my message for introverted people or shy people is not to try and fight it or overcome it, because that's what the rest of the society is telling you to do. It's like viewing it as a weakness, but instead view it as a strength. Understand that most great people in the history have been shy people or introverts, and that it's something to be proud of, that you should embrace. Go with the flow, use it, embrace that natural shame, use it to build connections, and don't fall into that trap where you feel ashamed for your shame, or where you feel ashamed for your shyness or for your introversion, because that's when things turn sour. And if you can embrace it, you know, then it's a beautiful process. It's like, as entrepreneurs, we just connect people, we connect things, and we connect ideas. And if we can do that in a human way, while respecting other people and being in touch with our natural shame, it's the best ever, I believe. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. How there's like so many different identifiers or labels that get attributed to people, one of them being shame, and how, not shame, I mean shyness, and how those different attributes are just kind of like, you know, core aspects of of different people, and how the makeup of a person, is unique to each person, and it's a part of who they are. It's not something to be ashamed about. And like you said, when someone embraces those aspects of themselves, like something kind of beautiful happens, and this kind of like growth and fruition happens, within their own identity, which impacts their different endeavors and their relationships with people. So that's really cool that you talked about that.
Yeah, it's an overseen topic. I've just finished writing my first book. It's called The 7 Laws of Direct Marketing. And I've never read a marketing book where anyone talked about shame. A lot of people talk about fear. No one ever talks about shame. And I think it's like a complete overseen emotion, completely overseen aspect in business and human relationships. It's like a taboo, to talk about shame. Everyone's ashamed of it. No one wants to admit that they have that shame. And yet it's the most basic human emotion. And it's also the number one driver in all buying decisions is shame. Most industries are built on shame. The dating industry, the fitness industry, so many anti-aging industry, plastic surgery. It's like so many examples of industries that are somehow linked to shame more than to fear, but it's a very overseen thing. Like most people say, yeah, the number one buying emotion is fear. I believe number one buying emotion is shame. Number two buying emotion is fear. And then there's a bunch of other emotions, of course, that are important too, but no one talks about shame. So I think it's huge work to do in the future to really dig into that topic, understand shame, learn to deal with it. And I'm planning to write my next book about this whole shame aspect, because it's so important, I believe.
When is your first book coming out, or when can people purchase it, and how?
Well, it's being proofread right now. I'm getting the cover designed and everything. So there's no date yet. It's going to be this year, probably in summer, but there's no date yet that I can reveal. But only one person has read it. So two people have read it so far. And I'm super excited to release it. It's some of my best stuff in book form, because the story behind the book is kind of funny, because I was in Brazil on this desert island, Fernando de Noronha, and they had no internet there. So what does an online entrepreneur do without internet? Like, I went crazy, right? I'm so used to like connecting to people online, all this stuff. Like, I went crazy. So the way I dealt with it is I just read books. I had some books on my Kindle, and I just wrote. So I wrote the book in pretty much 1 week on this island, and just every evening just typing in there like crazy, compensating for my internet addiction, pretty much. So that's a fun side story. That's the story behind my book.
And you talk a lot about the importance of relationships. How important do you think relationships are to business, and then how are important relationships to you personally as well?
I think all business is built on relationships. If you remove relationships from business, there's nothing left in the business. So the core of any business is relationships, and that's why a lot of new entrepreneurs fail, is because they don't get this. They don't understand the substance of business is relationships. So they try to set up automated systems online, robots, machines, and stuff that push out content or get people to click on the link. But they forget the relationship building process in it. So nothing happens. They don't build a business. So one thing that I do is I follow up with people through follow-up emails, but also personally on social media, offline. All of my business is focused on building relationships with people, either building relationships with new prospects so I can turn them into customers, or building existing relationships or expanding existing relationships with my customers so I can provide even more value to their lives, and I can make them the most happy as possible, and I can give them the best experience ever. A lot of people forget that. So I think all that business is building relationships. And if you don't do that, or you don't understand that, then you're going to have a hard time to thrive with your business in the future. So for me personally, it's all about those relationships, you know. And in my personal life, like personal relationships with friends, it's a bit different because I'm traveling all the time. So my girlfriend, she's from Portugal, so that's why I'm right now in Portugal. I'm here a lot, then I travel a lot elsewhere. So you know, if you're traveling a lot, if you're an online entrepreneur, relationships are a bit more unusual than, you know, the average person would experience a relationship or friendship. So a lot more stuff is online and you know, Skyping and or Hangouts, or you know, this type of talk we're having right now. We never met, and yet now we're building a connection through Google Hangout, right? As if we were having an in-person conversation, and even other people are watching us while we're doing this, right? So that's like the power of the internet. So yeah, I'd say all business is built on relationships. There's different forms of relationships, you know, online, offline, personal, customer, business prospect, friend to friend. There's so many different aspects, but it has always to do with connection and with the relationship. Yeah, that's one thing that fascinates me about business. It's like building connections, building bridges. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
How does building relationships and building connections play into your free mastermind group, your paid mastermind group, and your in-person summits coming up?
Well, I try to build as many relationships as possible. Like the ideal scenario for me is to everyone in my mastermind will be like my personal friend. That's like the ideal scenario. If I could meet every single person in there and turn them into my friends, that's like would be the ideal scenario for me. And obviously I can't do that with everyone, like with every single person, but I can try and do it on a high leverage scale as good as possible. So it's always my goal to create friend-to-friend relationships with people, to kind of get rid of this overly corporate, you know, company line and this cold face of a company, and actually humanize marketing, as I said before. So I'm always trying to provide as much value as I can, help people, you know, jump in the conversation, answer people's questions, help them. And I do that because I want to build connections with people, and I do it in the free mastermind group. I do it, of course, in the inner circle even more, right? Because that's a paid community, so they get more of my attention, obviously. I wish, you know, I could give everyone the same attention, but it's not humanly possible, and I can't clone myself. So I naturally have to kind of, you know, decide which people are more important or are getting most of my focus. And that's the inner circle, obviously. And the summits is just an extension of those inner circles. So it's going to be, of course, a different level of relationship, because again, you know, I can meet in person with people, I can talk in person to people, I can have a beer with someone, they see me speaking live, I can answer their questions live. So it's a completely different atmosphere if you're in the same room with a person. It's a different level of resonance you can have with someone. So I guess the goal of my different groups is to deepen the relationship. So it starts with a very kind of superficial relationship, someone, you know, showing interest in my brand and in my content, I help them. And then the whole idea is to deepen the relationship with the people that are willing to do this, right? Not everyone's a perfect member, perfect candidate for the inner circle. So I don't need to deepen the relationship with everyone, with every human being on the planet, right? There's a certain segment of people that are just perfect customers for me, and that I resonate with and they resonate with me. So I want to hang out with those people. And obviously, if they're in the inner circle, they're in that segment. So that's a deeper relationship. And then if they show up to the live event and we spend a week together in Morocco, you know, kite surfing or surfing or riding camels and having 3 days of live events, of course, it's going to leave a different imprint. It's going to have a different aftertaste than just an online mastermind. So again, it deepens the relationship. So my goal with my funnels, with my follow-ups, with my groups is just to take the people who are really willing to do this, to make this work, and just deepen the relationship with them, create a real friendship also with them. That's why I call it the inner circle. I really view it as a group of friends, as a mastermind, that it's not just a business for me, it's something I equally profit from as the people that are actually in the mastermind. So it's just continuously deepening that relationship with people and that connection. It's all about connection and going deeper and deeper and deeper, building more and more solid connections with people. Yeah.
Who is the ideal person to join your inner mastermind group or the inner circle? And who is the ideal person to join the in-person summits, the inner circle summits?
Right now, the ideal person to join the inner circle is someone who's really dedicated and committed to build an online business, but who has troubles, getting all this to work, right? Like, I have a lot of really, really successful entrepreneurs in the inner circle, but they aren't necessarily the people that profit the most from it, because those people are so busy taking action. I mean, they're friends of mine, and some of them are clients of mine, and they ask me questions, but they kind of pop in when they need something and then they're out again, or they're just more in the background and jump in answering questions. But they don't need the same support of the inner circle like someone who's starting out. So the inner circle is really for aspiring entrepreneurs, for people who want to learn marketing, to master marketing, but don't know where to start. So it's mainly built for aspiring entrepreneurs. And then I have higher priced coaching models, and I work with one-on-one clients. And that's a different price class, obviously, and it's a different segment of people, right? I have customers doing 6 figures a year and almost 7 figures a year. Obviously, I have different prices for them, and also the work I do for them and with them is different than what I'm doing in the inner circle. So the reason why I'm doing the inner circle is because I wanted to create a community where basically anyone who's really willing to make this work can join a community of high-achieving entrepreneurs, like-minded people, and be in that environment that's empowering and pushing each other. Just like having a mastermind, having that group of people that most people don't have in real life. So it's kind of a substitute for that. So it has a lot to do with that for me. Yeah.
Could people access the inner circle through uncovermarketing.com?
Yeah, on uncovermarketing.com, somewhere there's a link. I think it's in more stuff. If you click on there, there's a drop down and there's a link to the inner circle. But registration is closed almost always, so I only open registration a couple of days every month for people who want to join. So there's a waiting list. So if someone watching this wants to join, you can go to innercirclementorship.com. That's the official website. You also find the link on uncovermarketing.com. And if you go there, usually you'll see a page where you can get on the waiting list, and you can get a free 30-day trial that'll be sent to you when the card opens. And if you're lucky enough to be there while the card is open, you'll just see the page where you can register for free. And the first month is always free, with a bunch of free bonuses, so people can see if it's something for them. And if not, I'm just as happy to get them out there again, because obviously we're not a good match to work together. So they won't be charged, and I can let in other awesome people that want to be part of this. Yeah.
So I was reading one of your Facebook posts, and it talked about this huge list of places that you traveled to, like in the past 6-7 months. And so what is it about travel that resonates with you and that kind of calls you to go from destination to destination?
Well, I'm completely addicted to freedom. Like, one of my highest values is independence and freedom. I don't know why and where that came from, maybe from my childhood, or just somehow I have a deep desire for freedom, personal freedom, being able to live life on my own terms. And since I have that, I've always been looking to maximize my freedom in as many ways as possible. being an entrepreneur is one way to do that. Being able to have my business on my laptop instead of having to own a building and a team of people and having to show up there every day in a suit, looking professional and giving instructions and all of that. Instead of doing that, I just wanted to have my laptop so I can speak with you here in Portugal, or I can send out a broadcast to thousands of people here from Portugal, or I can record video blogs wherever I am. So I'm fascinated by freedom, and I love maximizing my freedom. So it's a bit of an obsession of mine. So, you know, traveling and building my business from these different places, it's just a way to challenge myself. You know, I've worked with clients on airplanes, you know, actually doing work for them on airplanes. I've created launch schedules on airplanes. I think I've written the last parts of my book in airplanes. I've done so much work up in the air in airplanes that is just crazy. And just this idea that you aren't even in a country, that you're just up in the air, like, you know, somewhere in the air in this tube, and you can actually create something in there with your laptop. That's just amazing for me. So my next challenge is to record a video blog in an airplane.
Nice.
I've never done it yet, but it's my hope it's on my bucket list, you know, to set up a tripod in an airplane and just stand there like, hey, what's up? It's Till here from Uncover Marketing, and then the stewardess coming and like, what are you doing, sir? That's my ultimate dream. One day, maybe. Yeah, so freedom, it's always been on the top of my list. So everything I'm doing, it's just part of maximizing that. Travel, building this online business. And I want to inspire people, you know, I want to inspire myself, and I want to inspire other people so they can see, you know, what type of level of freedom you can reach if you want to, and if you're willing to do it. So it's like freedom and inspiration are my two highest values.
One thing that that we're talking about earlier is having that dedication and putting that time, putting that hard work. And I think it was one of the videos that I watched of you, how you're saying how you know, after you put in all this hard work, like now is a time where you could kind of relax and do whatever you want. So that whatever you want, is that still fall into, you know, focusing on these business endeavors and building relationships? Are there some things outside of that call to you as well?
Well, the thing is, yeah, you can do whatever you want as long as it's in the boundaries of you not killing your business. If I stay on this desert island for 2 months, probably my business is over, right? So whatever I want, it's true, but it's still linked to responsibilities. Like as an entrepreneur, you always have responsibilities. You need to do certain things. So obviously you need to do that, but you can automate it as much as possible. You can maximize it as much as possible. So you have as much personal freedom as possible in this whole process, right? I can record content at a beach in Brazil or in Portugal, or I can work on a client's sales page in an airplane. So I can pretty much do whatever I want, whenever I want. I can work wherever I want, whenever I want. You know, or I can work and I can say like, okay, it's time to have a swim in the sea, so I can go and do that. But obviously, it's linked to certain boundaries also, right? So you also need to stay grounded. If you let yourself get carried away too much from the travel lifestyle, from the freedom lifestyle, the freedom business lifestyle will be over, right? If you relax for too long, it'll be over. So you need to find a nice balance between enjoying the fruits of your work and freedom and pushing hard to the next level. You can't, if you get lost in one or the other, you're either going to burn out or your business will die away. So it's like finding that balance in the middle. That's really important. Like living on your own terms, building a life that inspires you personally, where you're as free as possible. You can spend your life on your own terms, and at the same time having that laser sharp focus and that self-discipline and those habits that brought you to that freedom, right? Because sometimes we forget what got us to the point we are right now. We forget self-discipline is a prerequisite of freedom. There is no freedom without self-discipline. There is no financial growth without hustle. So it's like there's like two sides of the coin, and if you forget about one side, you will lose it. You will lose everything. So it's all about having that balance, and never forgetting the humble beginnings you come from, right? Sometimes you have to go back into full hustle mode, into full struggle mode. You have to be like, yep, I was chilling for too long. I was hanging at the beach for too long. It's time to step it up. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you've worked so hard that you can just chill at the beach or do whatever you want for a really long time. But it is about a balance. And that's also something a lot of people don't realize. They get carried away by this fairy tale idea, right, of this freedom lifestyle. The problem is freedom ain't free, right? Freedom requires a tremendous amount of character and willpower and habits and all of that before you can be free. The freedom is actually hard work, but it's worth it.
One thing that I really enjoyed from Rodrigo's interview, you talked about, I think it's called a success journal, and how each night before you go to bed, you write down, I think, how you're productive, how you weren't productive, your goals for the next day, one thing that you learned, and there are some other things, I'm going blank, but like these kind of things to kind of, and also you tracked your habits, like what your habits were.
Yeah.
And I think that's such like an important thing. I don't do that exactly, but I do some similar thing to see, where my time is going, where my thoughts are going, what my habits are. It's like something that you were saying is how there's like a lot of this unconscious activity that happens, and that you're not really aware of, I guess you're not really aware of kind of the pull that all these outside forces could have on you, or that kind of your own habits and way of life could have on you until you become aware of it. So can you tell me more about that success journal and how that affects your life and how that impacts you and your businesses?
This whole idea of success journals is something I learned from Tony Robbins. He had this, I don't know which program it was, but I used to listen to him on, like, I had an MP3 player and I went to the gym and I would listen to Tony Robbins, and he had this saying that if your life isn't worth recording, your life isn't worth living. So that's kind of what created that spark of inspiration to start a daily journal. I was like, yeah, it's true. If I can't like face how my life actually looks like right now, then I am somehow in denial of something. And a lot of people are in denial of their life and how they're living it. They think they're doing stuff, and in reality they aren't, right? So it's a confrontation with yourself. Having a daily success journal, it's a confrontation with yourself. It's a mirror, because oftentimes the way we spend our lives, it's entirely unconscious, right? Most of the stuff we do, it's unconscious. It's like driving a car. The way we drive a car is we don't think about it once we've learned it. And the way we live our lives is the same. We don't consciously think about, oh yeah, I gotta switch this gear now. I gotta push this gas pedal. We don't do it. So a success journal is the ultimate confrontation with yourself. And in the beginning, it can be hard because you'll realize sometimes you don't even remember what you did. That's like the worst stage. Because I have like this part in my success journal where I write down, what did I do in the morning? What did I do in the afternoon? Did I do in the evening? And I write down in as much detail what I did. And sometimes if I'm having a bad day, or if I haven't been writing in my journal for a long time, I forget. I'm like, so what did I actually do in the morning? Yeah, so I was on Facebook and checked that YouTube video, and I had some broccoli, and did I work on my business? And then you realize something's going wrong there. And then Once you have that self-awareness, you're conscious about how you're subconsciously living your life, then you can go in there and actually realize, oh, this is a habit that I need to change. Or wow, it looks like every morning I'm checking my Facebook. Maybe I should replace that with taking a cold shower, or I don't know, or with some meditation. And then you can kind of mold your life how you want it to be over time. It's a long process. A success journal, the real power of a success journal comes from years of using it. Or it's like you're like this ship, your life is like this ship, and it's going in a certain direction, and the success journal allows you to identify, oh, I'm 1 inch off course. Today I was 1 inch off course. And over a period of 20 years, if you don't correct that inch, you will end up at a completely different place than if you would every day readjust just 1 inch. That's what the success journal does for you. You can really do those 1 inch progresses every day, identify what you need to work on, find out what did you actually do and what did you not do. Where do you have delusions about your day and where are you realistic? And then make a list of things you actually did, what you accomplished. Identify the areas where you were productive and where you were reactive. Make a list of things you can improve tomorrow. Create a task list for tomorrow. Set priorities. All of that you can do in your success journal. And by doing that, you're making those 1 inch adjustments, and over 3 years, even 1 year, but 10 years or 20 years, like the complete course will change. And that's how you take control of your life. In small steps, small readjustments. You can't do it in one go. You can't, a ship that's built a lot of momentum, you can't just take all the force you have and like force it to completely change directions. It doesn't work. It's a slow process, right? And the success journal, doing that every day, it's like getting back on course slowly and over a long period of time. Like the effect it has is amazing. So yeah, a huge part of my success is that daily habit of writing in that journal. So I can recommend doing that to anyone watching.
I think that's amazing, and I think it's so powerful. I think a lot of people kind of attribute some kind of, I'm not sure, shame might be the word, towards journaling. And I know that's something that I do as well. Just like a lot of kind of like self-awareness building and kind of cultivating mindfulness and what are my actions, what are my thoughts, what are my behaviors, what are my habits, and having that be like a daily practice, it just makes such a huge difference. I noticed that when I stop writing over a period of time, then those kind of unconscious behaviors and habits come back into my life, and it's kind of harder. I'm not as easily aware of how I'm living my life, what's going on, and just kind of a simple habit of just writing. It just kind of opens that door and kind of lets me, like you said, on like an eagle's eye view of your life. It kind of gives you that kind of scope of what's going on. And so I think that's just a great tool. I'm going to check out the document that you put on Rodrigo's blog and kind of see what the outline that you use and start to apply more of that in detail.
Yeah, and it's true what you said about the shame, because as I said, it's a confrontation. So a daily success journal, it'll bring out hidden aspects of your unconscious behavior that you don't want to face. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're eating trash all day and you kind of know it, but you don't want to be confronted with it. So that's why writing a daily journal brings out hidden stuff. It confronts you with the hidden. And shame is all about the hidden. We have shame about bringing out what's hidden. And the success journal, maybe it is linked to shame because of that. I've never thought of it, but it's a good point.
And so a little more travel. Out of all the places you traveled to, which place stood out to you the most or resonated with you the most?
I would say this year that my two favorite places were Greece, Greek islands, Lindos. Really enjoyed it. So if you're ever looking for a place where you can just chill out, and do some work, I can recommend Lindos on Rhodes. Don't go in the summer season where it's full of tourists. Go, I went in winter, which maybe wasn't ideal. Maybe go in autumn or something like that, or in before summer. But that's a really nice place. Really enjoyed it. Really quiet. Just old people and goats there, and just beautiful food. Beautiful, little bay there. So really can recommend that. And I really enjoyed Portugal. It's became one of my favorite places. Obviously, my girlfriend's here, but also the food is amazing. I love Portuguese food. Love seafood. Love the beaches here. So huge fan of Portuguese culture and living here. So those are my two favorite places here. Of course, there's a lot more, but from off the top of my mind, my two favorite places. Didn't enjoy Eastern Europe that much. I was there a lot too. Also last year, kind of, in my experience, a bit of a cold, traumatic vibe in those countries. A bit depressive, in a way, a bit gray. So I enjoy more lively cultures. Brazil is crazy, obviously. Everyone's dancing, and I'm like this Swiss person there, like, not through all the craziness, and everyone's like so unstifled there. So I enjoy that. I enjoy Brazil as well, but I couldn't stay there for too long because just the whole climate is just such a huge difference. It's really crazy, and mosquitoes really hate me. So that desert island, like, I think I had 200 mosquito bites or something when I left. So I was happy to leave and go back to internet lifestyle and have a normal room with no mosquitoes, and so, but it was an experience, and even recorded some videos there, wrote my book, so I can't complain, I guess. Everything has a purpose,
You said in Portugal, and I think you said Rhodes, and a place that starts with an L in Greece.
It's Lindos.
Lindos.
It's Lindos, I believe.
Lindos.
Yeah, I can type it in the box here.
Okay.
Good. Lindos. It's actually on Rhodes.
Okay.
On Rhodes, it's a little village on Rhodes. It's one of the most famous places there, and I'm gonna go back. That's the only place for sure I know I'm gonna go back. Yeah.
What is it about Lindos that makes you want to go back? And if you were bringing someone with you, what aspects would you show to them?
I really enjoyed that it was so. It's a very distraction-free environment if you go in the right time. So probably summer isn't the best time, as I said. But in winter, the whole village, it's like the only people there are locals, like old people. There's just one or two restaurants open. If you go down to the bay, you're alone. It's like amazing. There's like little boats and I went there to meditate alone, and no one was there, just me and that little bay and the sun. Actually, the success video you were talking about earlier on, that I recorded that in Lindos at my favorite bay. Maybe you saw that one. So yeah, I was there meditating actually before that video for like 20 minutes, just in the waves and looking at the boat, and no one was there. And I had a little studio up there with a beautiful view over the sea and over Lindos. So every night I would go out and look at that view, and every day, and just looking at that amazing view alone was so beautiful, so meditative. And then I could go back and work a bit in the studio, go out, look at the view, have a beer, go down to the bay, have some Greek food there. It was amazing. I'll go back for sure. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. It seems so cool, all these different places you've traveled to, just to experience so many different cultures and so many different types of people and ways of lives, and this kind of experience. Do you ever feel like when you're traveling, you kind of experience life through other people's lives?
Through other people's lives?
Or like their eyes, of versus like how they live life, just kind of transported into like kind of a new way of temporary living, like just through someone else's own unique experience?
I don't think I view it in that way. I think it's more like for myself, as if I have different lenses, and I can change the lens, and then I look at life differently. But for some reason, it doesn't feel like I'm looking at life through the eyes of another person. It feels like I'm looking at life and this culture through my own eyes, but it's like a different lens, or it's different, glasses that I'm looking through. So, and that's cool. It's like, I don't know, it's a bit like going to these 3D movies, and you have those 3D glasses, and like, okay, next movie, and it's like, you create so much abundance. I think abundance is huge for traveling, because it also makes it easier to put up with bad stuff that's going on in your life. If oh, next week I'm going to be at the beach in Brazil, who cares about this launch here, or who cares about this guy that sent me this email? Or knowing, okay, next week I'm in Brazil, and 2 weeks later I'm back in Portugal, and then I'm there and there and there. It creates so much abundance in your life, so much stuff you can look forward to, that you just become more positive and more fulfilled, and you don't act from this scarce mindset anymore, because you don't need that. Sometimes if you lock yourself in to one place for too long, you start to seek out stimulation in weird ways. You get bored by your life, and you kind of, maybe, some people watch porn, or other people, they start going out every night or every weekend, drinking, and they seek out stimulation. And if you travel a lot, you have such an abundance of new experiences and stuff you look forward to, and variety in your life, that you kind of don't need those other things anymore, because you don't have that void you need to fill. You don't get bored. You have that abundance in life. So much to look forward to, and so much to learn from, and to, it's a lot of abundance going on if you travel a lot. And it's a very fulfilling thing, So, yeah, I recommend it to anyone.
So before we get going, is there anything else you'd like to share, or ways that people could find you if they want to start working with you?
Yeah, if you're interested to check out my blog, just head over to uncovermarketing.com. Uncover, like covering up something, marketing.com in one word. That's where most of the action happens. You can also join my Facebook mastermind group, or you can add me as a friend on Facebook. I like to treat everything very personally, so you can also shoot me a message on Facebook if you have a question or a comment, or you want to chat about something. I try to respond to all messages I get. I get a lot of messages, but I'll make sure I get back to pretty much every message. So you can hit me up there, or you can send me an email, but definitely check out uncovermarketing.com and tilboadella.com. That's my other website. And definitely check out my YouTube channel, because it's one of my biggest passions in the whole entrepreneur thing, is recording those video blogs. I record them all around the world at beautiful beaches usually. I'm a bit obsessed with beaches, so I try to record most of my video blogs at beaches. So it's a nice way to learn new marketing and personal development concepts with a nice background, and seeing a bit something of the world. So yeah, head over to your Google, search for Til Boadella on YouTube, and you'll find my channel. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So before we head off, what has been your favorite beach that you've recorded one of your videos at?
My favorite beach ever was in Mallorca, Spain. I don't know the name, because I can never remember the names of these beaches. They always have weird names. The best beaches have weird names. The most beautiful beaches I've ever seen were in Mallorca, but not those German touristy places, not the Ballermann places, but actually, if you take a car, you drive away to those hidden beaches, they're just beautiful. So there's a video called, what's the name? Living on Your Own Terms, or something like that, where I talk about this book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. That's my favorite beach ever. You'll see it in the background. Beautiful atmosphere, like people, playing in the background, and the sun setting. Amazing atmosphere. And there's another beach that's really beautiful, but I recorded the video there, but the light, I had the brightness turned up fully on my camera, so it's way too bright, the video. It's called Secret to Happiness or something. It looks like I'm kind of, I don't know, it looks weird because everything's white. Then I'm there so the video was messed up a little bit, but it's also a beautiful beach. So yeah, go to Mallorca with someone that knows the place, drive around, and you'll find some of the most beautiful beaches ever.
Thank you so much for meeting with us and for your time and for this conversation. Like I just really had a nice time talking with you right now.
Thanks, vice versa. It was my pleasure.
And everybody watching, thank you for joining us in our vidpaltravel.com startup and travel interview, part of our webinar series. And we will see you all soon. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.